10 things you didn't know could be hacked. Number 10. Pacemakers. Hackers can do some terrifying things, but even the most paranoid among us probably never thought that they could stop your heart at the click of a button. Well, it's time for a scary reality check, because hackers can totally stop your heart at the click of a button, assuming you're wearing a pacemaker, that is. As the technology improves, more and more pacemakers are connected to the internet. That's great if you're the kind of guy who likes programmers to be able to monitor and update the thing keeping you alive without having to cut you open every time. But that connectivity also poses a serious risk. In 2013, a hacker called Barnaby Jack revealed that hospital software was dangerously out of date, and that he could easily hack into the system that monitored patients' pacemakers. Once on the inside, hackers could either shut off the device, rendering it useless, or put it into test mode. In this mode, the pacemaker would generate constant electric shocks, enough to overload even the strongest heart. Insulin pumps can also be hacked remotely, flooding a diabetic's bloodstream with enough insulin to put them into shock. Fortunately, Barnaby Jack was a good guy. Before his death in 2013, he used to hack into technology to point out its weaknesses and encourage companies to upgrade their security. Number 9. Cars. If there's one time you want to be in full control, it's when you're traveling at 80 km/h while being surrounded by lots of metal. Well, bad news, because hackers can take control of your car from up to 10 miles away. Working with Wired magazine, hackers Charlie Miller and Chris Valicek used their laptops to take control of a reporter's Jeep Cherokee. After messing about with the radio, the horn, and the windscreen wipers for a bit, the hackers stopped playing around and turned off the Jeep's accelerator. The car was left powerless, forced to drift slower and slower down a busy highway. The same hackers have also remotely hijacked Fords and Toyotas before, easily cutting the brakes and even taking control of the steering. How is such a total takeover possible? Well, an increasing number of cars rely more and more on electrics, which can be infiltrated and directed by hackers in a way that older cars couldn't. The threat of hacking was significant enough to cause Chrysler to recall 1.5 million vulnerable cars in 2015. Recent revelations from WikiLeaks suggest that even the CIA are in the car hacking game, with documents detailing how the agency could assassinate targets by taking remote control of their vehicles and crashing them. Number 8. Baby monitors. In April 2015, New York mother Sarah was tucking her 3-year-old child into bed when she heard something terrifying. A voice coming from Sarah's baby monitor said, "Wake up, little boy, Daddy's looking for you." After reporting the creepy event to the police, Sarah and her husband Jay discovered that their baby monitor had been accessed by hackers and was being controlled remotely. The hackers could see through and even move the monitor's camera, and they were also able to speak to the child via the mouthpiece. This story is just one of many equally disturbing reports. In the same month, a couple in Minnesota heard strange music being played through their baby monitor. Investigating further, they found a Dutch website that was live streaming footage from thousands of baby monitors in at least 15 countries. Sure enough, their baby's crib was on there. It's not just baby monitors either. Most household cameras are connected to the internet, meaning they can be hacked and their footage can be put online for all the world to see. Number 7. Toilets. We've all heard of smartphones and smart TVs, but one thing you probably never thought needed to be made smart is a toilet. In 2013, Japanese company Satis released an automatic toilet designed to open, close, and flush on command. The loos also have a jet in the basin that sprays the users with a spurt of water to clean them. The device is controlled through the free MySatis app, which communicates to the lavatory via Bluetooth. And this kind of toilet tech doesn't come cheap, with Satis' computerized crapper costing over $12,000. Unfortunately, or hilariously depending on your point of view, Satis didn't tell people to change the standard security pin to access the toilet's Bluetooth, so all hackers had to do was enter 0000 to turn Japan's smart toilets from pointless extravagances into surprise weapons. While hackers could just force the lid to stay down and render the toilet useless, the more popular option was to set off the spray cannon at random, shooting people with unexpected bursts of cold water. It may not be the deadliest hack on this list, but there's something about not being able to use the toilet without the risk of being embroiled in an unwanted water fight that makes this hack stand out. Number 6. Laptop batteries. We all know that computers can be hacked, but while we obsess over whether or not to download Norton or McAfee, there's one part of your laptop that's usually completely forgotten about: the battery. In 2011, Apple released a new series of MacBooks and included a small monitor chip in each battery. This allowed the computer to track its charge and temperature, Intended to make the battery safer by regulating its heat, the device had the opposite effect when Apple forgot to install any security in it. Hacker Charlie Miller, you know, the guy who crashes cars for fun, pointed out this flaw at the Black Hat Security Conference that year and explained that the batteries could be easily breached. Hackers getting into a battery might not sound that damaging, but such access would actually allow them to install viruses onto the computer or just permanently shut off its power supply. Plus, the hacker could use the temperature regulating software to overheat the battery. Not only could this burn someone, but raising the battery to a high enough temperature could even cause it to explode. And considering where laptops tend to sit, this could be very, very painful. Number 5. Satellites. Here's a pee-in-your-pants terrifying quote from a 2015 hacker conference. It's kind of a myth that satellite hacking is hard. Yep, apparently while mankind was filling the sky with multi-million-dollar spacecraft, no one thought it might be worth looking into decent security programs for them. That's like buying a mansion but deciding not to invest in locks. One group of satellites in particular, the Iridium Communications Network, are particularly susceptible to attacks. Speaking at a conference called Iridium Hacking, Please Don't Sue Us, hacker Sec explained that these satellites don't have weak security, they have no security. Just to make the point, Sec gave out over 4,500 radios which, when plugged into a computer, are powerful enough to intercept messages sent over the Iridium satellites. Still, at least no one important uses Iridium, just the Pentagon. While the idea of stealing military secrets may be scary enough, there's another deadlier threat posed to hackable satellites. According to security experts, there are 66 satellites in low enough orbit that a hacker could reroute them, bringing them crashing down to Earth. Number 4. The Emergency Broadcast System. TV viewers in Montana had a nasty surprise in November 2013. While they were watching Jerry Springer spin-off The Steve Wilkos Show, the program disappeared and was replaced by a loud siren and a banner reading, "Dead bodies are rising from their graves." Spoiler alert, there was no zombie apocalypse in 2013. But this raises two important questions about the incident. Firstly, who watches The Steve Wilkos Show? And secondly, who is behind this fake undead uprising? According to local broadcaster KRTV, someone hacked into their emergency broadcast system, implanting the false alarm and then airing it. Years later, still no one knows who performed the hack. While the people behind the prank chose to keep the threat unrealistic, security firm IO Active warns that local emergency broadcast systems are incredibly easy to hack. Why? Because broadcasters have to buy special devices to inject the emergency messages into regular broadcasts. These devices come with default passwords, which most local stations haven't bothered to change. So next time you see a broadcast telling you that The Walking Dead has come true, make sure you check that it isn't a hacker's prank before you grab a chainsaw and head off into the woods. Number 3. Traffic lights. If you own an older car, you must have been feeling pretty smug when we were talking about how modern vehicles are only a few clicks away from becoming a hacker's personal remote-controlled dodgem. But don't get too excited because even if your car is hack-proof, traffic lights are still unbelievably easy to commandeer. Most traffic lights are now wirelessly networked, using infrared sensors to monitor the presence of cars and decide when to change. Ambulances, fire engines, and police cars are equipped with a special infrared transmitter that, when activated, sends out a signal to turn all traffic lights in front of them green. While important for the emergency services, these devices are relatively easy to build at home, and many people have been caught using them to speed up their commute. And that's not the only way to manipulate traffic lights. The sensors can also be remotely controlled through the wireless networks they're hooked up to. In 2014, researchers at the University of Michigan successfully hacked into 100 traffic lights, changing them at will. Want to cause a multi-car pileup by directing traffic into itself? Apparently that's not only doable, but actually easy. The same researchers claim that traffic lights run by the company Census Networks were laughably straightforward to break into. Considering Census Networks runs traffic lights in America, China, the UK, Australia and France, maybe it's time to consider walking to work. Number 2. Prison doors. Fans of Mr. Robot will remember the episode in which Elliot has to hack a prison security system in order to free a ruthless drug dealer. Well, that premise is not nearly as impossible as you might hope. Prison electronics operate on a control system known as SCADA, and it has actually been hacked before. In 2010, the Natanz nuclear power plant in Iran was infected with a virus called Stuxnet. The virus was designed to overwork the plant's equipment until it broke, while turning off the alarms so that local technicians would have no idea the damage was occurring. The virus successfully destroyed a fifth of the plant's equipment and set the Iranian nuclear program back 2 years. Some suspect that the US was behind the attack, but we'll leave that to all-time conspiracies. The point here is that the plant used SCADA and it was easily hacked into and abused. Security researcher John Strauchs, who has designed the electronic security for over 100 prisons, warns that a similar virus to Stuxnet could overload a prison's electronic cell doors, frying them and destroying their ability to lock. That would essentially free every prisoner in the jail, causing havoc and creating a massive diversion for anyone who wanted to escape. Number 1. Air traffic control. So, you just found out your car could be crashed remotely, your laptop could explode, and a satellite could come raining down on your head at any moment. Hell, in some countries you can't even go to the toilet without being in a constant state of dread. By this point, you're probably ready to burn all of your electronics and run off to a deserted island. After liking this video, of course. Well, if your plan is to hole up in some undiscovered paradise, we hope you aren't expecting to get there by plane. In November, teenage hacker Paul Sant was charged with several counts of unlawful interference with air traffic after he allegedly tapped into radio transmissions between planes and Melbourne Airport. He didn't just listen in either. He could apparently speak to the crew and even tricked one plane into aborting its landing by pretending to be the tower. The 19-year-old now faces up to 20 years in jail, but he is certainly not the only person able to talk to pilots. In 1998, the number of people found hacking into airplane radio frequencies and giving false information was 3. In 2016, it happened 20 times. Manipulating planes in the air may sound like the plot of Die Hard 2, but the ability to issue false commands to pilots is far from fiction, and in 2017 Bruce Willis is way too old to save the day. So those were 10 things you didn't know could be hacked. Which entry scared you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And before you turn off the internet and go live in a cave, be sure to check out our video on the 10 most dangerous hackers in history, playing now.
Jonathan James hacked into basically everything he could, from the Florida-based Miami-Dade school system to the US Defense Threat Reduction Agency, who was supposed to protect the country from weapons of mass destruction. He even found a way into NASA systems, stealing $1.7 million worth of software which could control the physical environment of the International Space Station. As a result, NASA was forced to shut down their system for 3 weeks, which cost $41,000.